Good evening, everyone. We all doing good. And I'm going to ask Mema Chauke to lead us in prayer so that we can open our session in prayer. Mema Chauke.
Good evening. Tata Focus, you are not audible. Did you say much? Okay. Focus. Good evening,
yes,
friend.
I was saying, yes, Mama Chokia, she mentioned you.
He wants me to open.
Yes.
Or is it? Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, brethren. Let us pray. Baba zina la Yesu Kristo wa Nazareth ari da panda shpato chavanga madekwa na dwala na musi. Rekoriwa chipinga cha chilizi chevarenekeza chone cha udawamba na utechilesa. Une wanga ndi kukumedza vatu vote vari kai forum and other people who are going to listen to this message. Ndiko varabelela babanga madekwa na dwala na musi. Ori vone vakhadio rifata that vane vakhadio rengedzela vakhadio vana rina. Khabave na batho bote vane va co-presenter na vane vakhadio participator ka Yesu Kristo. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We're going to have a short presentation, and then thereafter, we'll allow Mema Dong to share her story about COVID and how she was feeling anxious and so on. And then Brother Paul will first take us along about explaining in depth what is anxiety and how is it relevant in the context of COVID-19. So I think now we'll then give it to Brother Paul. He have a short presentation that he's going to share. So I think he's just going to share it on the screen, and then every one of us can then listen, and then we can also share the presentation thereafter. Brother Chimbale.
Alrighty, thank you, Brother Focus. I'm just trying to share the screen. Good evening, everybody. I would like to take this opportunity. First of all, I'm very honored to have been provided, such a unique platform to talk about, anxiety. Like as Brother Focus has introduced me, my name is Mpho Chimbale, proud member of Melodia Tswane, and also serving in Christian Youth Ministry of Melodia Tswane. And probably for those that do not know, I'm in a pharmaceutical company or rather a pharmaceutical industry, along with health. Also, my role there, I'm a medical representative. Also, the part of work that I cover mental health. But now, as we are dealing with, especially the therapeutic, effects and also medication thereof to assist us with our mental health, with our daily lives. So I've organized just a short presentation. Anyone is allowed to stop me during the presentation if there are any questions or any clarification that might be needed. As easy as that. So basically, it's a short presentation. It's about anxiety, what is anxiety, and also in the context of COVID-19. I'll be incorporating COVID-19 as I do the presentation. All right. As we start, we're like, when I was putting this presentation, I was like, do we know what is anxiety? Have we asked ourselves what exactly is anxiety? How do we define an anxious person? How do we diagnose an anxious person? So in that regard, just briefly saying anxiety is just that, intense, excessive, and persistent worry, and fear about everyday situations. This just is in general context. So when someone constantly worry about what's going to happen now, what's going to happen in a few minutes, what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's going to happen next week. All right. So with that being said, we have different kinds of anxiety disorder, which might lead to repeated episodes of sudden feelings of intense anxiety and fear or terror that may reach, peak within minutes, which will define it as panic attacks. Some people experience panic attacks, and sometimes you might not know what's wrong with the person. But however, the person all of a sudden faints, or the person gets an attack, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, usually, feelings of anxiety interfere with our daily activities. And usually we don't have control, over such feelings. And usually such feelings are out of proportion and actually can be to us and can last for a longer time during our lifetime or during that specific moment. And then we have, examples of anxiety disorders, which amongst others may include generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, specific phobias, and separation anxiety disorders. Coming to COVID-19, especially when we come to a specific phobia anxiety, in that regard, we have people that, have phobia now of touching handles, phobia of being around people, phobia of even going to work. Sometimes even at work, when we say, all right, who are those that prefer? Because now I think people are given choices if situations allow that they can work from home or they can come into the office. And sometimes we have people raising up their hands and say, I prefer, to work more at home than to go into an office space. Other companies, mandatory now to work from home, but still we have people that will still want to go out there, still want to mingle with people. But we still have people that have phobia, especially for social settings, or rather work settings that may include, sharing of cubicles and etc. So then now coming to common anxiety signs, then now asking ourselves, how do we, see an anxious person? How would you differentiate an anxious person from a normal person? Or rather, when I say normal, I'd rather, for lack of a better word, saying a healthy, mentally healthy person in that regard. So we'll see most people that are anxious, they have constant feeling of worry. They worry a lot. In the context of, COVID-19, we learned that people are worried about finances. They're worried about their job securities. They're worried about, the health. are worried about the grief. As you know, this pandemic has brought so much grief to our community and to ourselves. So they have, feeling of nervous. Most of the time they are nervous, they are restless, or rather tense. And someone as a person is going through this COVID-19 situation and trying to adapt to it, which I think most of us have found it very, very challenging to adapt to COVID-19, and also to adapt to what we call new normal. Yes, probably we have normalized, ourselves and our bodies into the new normal of COVID-19, but we still, have people that, still feel weak and tired when they wake up thinking, is my job on the line? Or thinking, is my business gonna, survive? And thinking, when are we gonna go to church? I'm more active if I'm in the same space with my fellow worship members, and etc. Such people may feel, irritated or grouchy. Most of the time they snap, they're irritable, they don't know sometimes how to even handle, normal tension in the room, or, normal arguments that might happen anyway, in the family, at work, at church, wherever. And sometimes these people, they'll complain of having trouble falling asleep, or trouble, staying asleep. The quality of sleep, it's really compromised. The quality, also the quantity, when we say staying asleep, of such a person, really, really compromised. And also at the same time, the person may, have trouble staying awake, may always want to sleep, always don't want to think about the situation or the effects that COVID-19 is having, on one's daily life. And also a person is, hello?
Sorry, can I just get in there? I think you're breaking a lot.
Am I breaking?
You're breaking a lot.
Am I more audible now?
Yes, maybe speak again.
Am I more audible? Is it better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you for letting me know, Brother Focus. So as I was saying, now we were, trying to distinguish between, an anxious person and a mentally healthy person. So I was just saying that even a person might experience physical symptoms such as, hyperventilation, person, finding difficulty to breathe, increased heart rate, which works hand in hand with hyperventilation, and also gastrointestinal problems like nausea, diarrhea, constipation, which can go along with anxiety. Then this, what we have in front of us now, this is from SADC, which is South African. It's a South African Depression and Anxiety group. So what they did is I found it very important for me just to share these two slides, these two upcoming slides, just to show like how did we deal with COVID-19 as as we experienced lockdown. And here we could see that we have we have general views, right? So at that time, during lockdown or at the beginning of lockdown, we could see that 10% of people before, they felt very stressed or very stressed before lockdown. And, the number actually went up. The percentage went up to 65% of people which felt stressed or very stressed in lockdown. But despite, all, what was happening, 92% supported lockdown of the people that were interviewed here. So what happened here was that people went to do a survey. SADC did a very quick survey just to find out how people dealing with lockdown. But still, even people were stressed they still supported lockdown. So this shows us that, sometimes even though we might be stressed or very stressed, I think we really support our physical health, and most importantly, our mental health, even when the pandemic got or hit us. So if we see there the down column, hello, is it me or am I still audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, you can
However,
hear
there's
me.
an echo from elsewhere.
Yeah, I just heard that, so I just wanted to make sure if it comes from me. Okay, it sounds better now. So as I was saying, so if we look at the bottom of the slide there, like main challenges that was experienced during the lockdown, we see number of factors coming in there but at the bottom. And the first one that we see, it's anxiety and panic. 55%, which has the most weighting, that during lockdown, even now, people are still feeling anxious. And there's also panic that goes hand in hand with the effect of lockdown. So also they have included what people also are being scared of, or what is their worry upon lockdown. We see financial stress and pressure coming number 2 there at 46%. We see depression at 40%, poor family relations, feeling of suicide, and substance abuse. But my highlight there is that 55% of people still feeling anxious even now. So now the question was, what do we do? What in our own spaces? What do we do at a church? That was the question, because we can see that most people interviewed, majority experience anxiety and panic disorder. Then what sector they asked themselves, or rather they asked the participants that during lockdown, where were people receiving all the updates, and how were they keeping themselves abreast of this new normal or the COVID-19? And we could see that mostly it was through press media, which it's still relevant even now. And I could say sometimes it could be because of the anxiety that people go through even now, the press and media, because sometimes things are not presented as they are. But I think that's a topic of another. Any questions? Hello? You want to say something to my
I just want to request friends that we all mute our mic, maybe until Mpo is done. I see there are other mics that are on.
Thank you very much, Mama Chauke, for that request. So, as I was saying, that then they asked what activities that help people to feel better during lockdown, and also there's some few percentages that comes through there, which majority holds the two first ones, the 50%, getting some exercise and chatting to someone about COVID-19. Because I think it's important for us, as we are during lockdown, even now, even if the measures are more relaxed now, if we could please just try to exercise more. If we cannot exercise, take those brisk walks or just any physical activity, it really helps. It really helps. It makes the blood flow. It also, you start thinking positively and so on. And also talking about it, such platforms. I think it's important to have such platforms to share our experiences and to really talk about how are other people coping, how are other people, going on about life, even though, now we have, what can I say? Now we have many obstacles in terms of, we are not as free as before.
Ngiyathenda something yakho mmereko. Ngitsamaya
May we please just mute our mics?
But can you just mute everyone, please?
Okay. I didn't want to be rude and
then
yeah. Okay. Oh, it's done, Brother Focus. So we can clearly see how other people, manage or are managing during COVID-19. As I said, getting some exercises, chatting to someone, especially such platforms, having talks, having presentations, etc. Others saying watching a film or TV show, doing some housework, sharing a meal with the family, just bring family much closer, or doing some remote work. Then with that being said, okay. So with that being said, I'm almost at the end of my presentation, and I just came with, the theme going beyond the limit with with anxiety and COVID-19. And I find my spiritual motivation with Philippians 4 verse 6 that says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, by giving thanks, present your requests to God. And 7 says, and the God with the transcendence of all understanding will guide your hearts and the minds in Jesus. Amen. So basically there, I was just saying, we know that it's not easy. We know that, we're not experiencing things the same, but I think we should just go back to our root of our belief and faith. So just there, the last page of mine, I decided to share. This is the page saying where we can get help as individuals. I'm more than welcome to share this presentation. And also there are websites there that also have numbers where we can call, support lines, WhatsApp lines, to if we need that person to talk to other than our friends, our church members, or our family members. So with that being said, Brother Focus, that was just my brief. I'm not sure if there are any questions.
Yeah.
I've got a hand up here from Tato.
Thank you for the presentation, Mpho. I think mental health is a very important issue that a lot of us try and avoid in our daily lives.
I'm sorry about that. You may.
Yes. Sorry, as I was saying, that mental health is a very important issue that most of us actually tend to ignore. And as time goes on, it actually frustrates us in future and we end up, being in a state of not knowing what to do. So thank you so much for the presentation. My question is that with the resources that are on the screen, do they come at a charge or are they free?
All right. Thank you, Tato. The resources that you see before you are free. they're absolutely free, especially probably if you go to the SADC group, they're completely free. SADC group, they're there for you 24 hours of the day, anytime that you need to give them a call, you're more than welcome to. They're also having, weekly webinars that you can also join in terms of taking people, through COVID-19 that especially are experiencing anxiety and depression.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any other question? So is there any other question on the floor? Right, as we think of questions, or if there are no questions indeed, Brother Focus, if you allow me just a minute or two, just to share, my side of the story, because I also went, through, anxious time when this pandemic hit us, or at the beginning of this pandemic. Just my short story was that, especially from my side, it was more finances, meaning more my line of work, when people were starting to be retrenched because now the company could not, afford most of the medical representative that they hired. So my story is that what happened was, actually we were called at work and we were told that, okay, we're gonna, people are gonna start to be retrenched. But the process was that we had to actually go for an interview. Imagine you being hired permanently, so then have to go for an interview for a company to keep you. And it was stressing me out left, right, and center. And I could say just, my therapeutic take in that matter was that, honestly, I prayed about it. But in the meantime, what they were doing was just, they were also, reshuffling the positions within the company. And in that regard, I was lucky to move from one therapeutic area to another. I used to solely work with mental health. I used to work with mental health, mental medication, and mental psychotherapy. So now I moved to more of a broader section at work. When I moved more to, now what I do is mental health. I do diabetes, I do hypertension, I do pain, and etc. So I was just fortunate that in the meantime, as they were busy with restructuring and also, retrenching people, I was lucky to go to interview just before then, and I was successful in that regard. But there were challenges that came with the position. But however, I was just happy that I still have my job even now. And my take from there is, if I can just, fail all the time, do good on my job, do what I'm expected to do, exceed if situations allow. And also, I've had an opportunity to, to talk to anxious people, anxious professionals. I've sat with anxious doctors, in doctors' rooms. I've sat with anxious psychiatrists, specialists, telling me that, they're skeptical to see patients, they're skeptical to, to do physical consultations. But as I said, as the slide said, let's continuously talk about this matter. Because I think other people feel better if they talk about it, because they'll know that they're not the only ones that are going through, anxiety or depression or whatnot. So with that being said, thank you very much, Brother Focus. I'm not sure if that
thank you. No, thank you very much, Brother Rampo. And we really appreciate you sharing a part of the story, because I think through COVID-19, some of us have really learned what is anxiety and how to deal with it and so on. So I think from there, we're also going to give Mema Dong to also share his story.
Brother Focus, I see Mema Focus raised her hand.
Okay, then we'll give her, then after that, we'll then give Mema Dong. Mema Focus.
Good evening, colleagues. Beloved, I hope I'm audible. My question to Brother Mpo, I'm not sure if maybe I'm jumping the gun, but firstly, I would like to thank you for a very informative presentation. But where I'm sitting now, I just want to find out from your expertise and the information that you shared. Melodia Tshwane has not opened its doors yet. And I believe that where we are, we might be anxious to say, is it safe to go back to church? Should we not go back to church? Will it be safe because we don't know who has the COVID-19? So I just wanted to find out, what would your advice be to the church or to the members actually, as we are going back to church? What if we are going back to church? What would your advice be in terms of dealing with our anxiety and ensuring that we make everything comfortable for everyone when we open our doors? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mema Fokase, for that question. Firstly, I would like to start by saying that what you're saying, I've really experienced in full. As I think as many people know that the chairperson of our Tshwane Presbytery, Suayem. So, a constant question that always came to me was, how do we, bring back our young people to church? You understand? I experienced that part of anxiety from the church perspective on how do we bring them back to church? And it was really challenging at the beginning, and it still is very, very challenging. And, it made me think to answer your question, it made me think to come to answer your question is, I think first of all, COVID protocols, if we could really, really follow that. Personally, I would say I want to go back to church. I still want to, praise Lord and, worship with my fellow beloved members. However, I say we can go back to church. I see no problem. Personally, I see no problem in going back to church as long as right protocols, right COVID-19 protocols are followed. And Mema Fokase, it's, to me, I wouldn't want to say it's simple, but now we just have to get it as a norm to ourselves to say, simple things: always wear your mask, always sanitize. So in that regard, I would say, know your purpose, know your initial purpose on why do you want to physically be a church, because I think the church also, has also created a platform, another virtual platform where people could actually attend church in the comfortability of their homes. Probably for the fear of them going out, they still have an option of, exercising such a platform, such a virtual platform, to be spiritually uplifted and be spiritually healthy. But I'm saying, as long as we follow correct COVID-19 protocols and we make it a priority. I know some of us might be ignorant thereof, but as long as it has been proven, and even World Health Organization, it's even saying that, if we follow the right COVID-19 protocols, wearing masks, sanitizing constantly, and also keeping social distancing, that will make sure that, we avoid contracting COVID-19. Again, Mema Focus with saying that, I would take this platform to say that people that have not been vaccinated, we know that we've had many stories about vaccination, A, B, C, and D, but because of, the kind of work that or field that I'm in, it's been proven. I can share clinical trials, I can share data saying that, yes, vaccinating doesn't guarantee that you won't get COVID-19, but, it reduces the chance of death and also reduces the chance of you actually experiencing worse symptoms of COVID-19. So with people experiencing anxiety going back to church, like, it's understandable. I'm sure that the church is not really, pushing anyone to physically meet. But however, for us to be spiritually healthy and spiritually uplifted, let's utilize such platforms. Let's utilize, platforms that the church has, inverted so that we can, be spiritually uplifted until we are ready to, go physically to church. I'm not sure if I answered you, Mema Focus.
Thank you, Brother Mpho. Thank you. I'm well answered.
If there's nobody, then I'll give it back to Dr. Focus.
All right, thank you. I think we will then hear Mema Dong's story. Then after that, also open for questions. And if anyone would like to share his or her story after Mema Dong, can also share our part of stories. Mema Dong.
Good evening, beloved brothers and sisters. Can you all hear me? I hope I'm audible enough. Brother Focus, am I audible enough?
Yes, yes.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay, my name is Isahwe Tong. They call me Metong for Melody Atswani. I am a full member of Melody Atswani. I participate in CWM, Sunday School. I'm also a COVID champion at Melody Atswani. I know most of you might know who I am. I don't want to be long. I just want to briefly share my story. COVID-19 is something else. I was one of the first people to actually be diagnosed with COVID-19. I was diagnosed with COVID-19 in July 2020, last year. And it was really hectic at the time because in 2020 mid-year, COVID-19 was still something that was scary. A lot of people did not want to associate with COVID-19. And as soon as you hear somebody tested COVID positive, you just want to stay away from them. So it was the situation at the time. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with COVID then. But I'm one person actually that is vocal. I normally speak my mind. I talk to people. The reason why I do that is because I'm one of the people that actually suffer from anxiety. I don't know what type, but I know that at times I get so anxious when I'm going through situations, especially situations that I can't change. In life, there are those kind of situations that we go through, but we cannot necessarily change them, but we worry about them. So how it happened, we went into lockdown in March 2020, and I was forever home. I was one of those people that never went anywhere. I was forever home. We were working from home. Fortunately, we were also working from home, and I work at Tshwane University of Technology as a lecturer. So TUT at the time was for the first time actually introducing online teaching, multimodal learning, online teaching. So there was a lot of things that we needed to implement, a lot of things that needed to change, a lot of things, there was just a lot. So it was work-related stress, anxiety, and then in the middle of all that mess, I was diagnosed with COVID, and now I had to hang my work and concentrate on myself because I had to be better. I had to heal. I had to take one step at the time to make sure that I beat this COVID-19. How it happened, one Friday, I traveled home. One mistake that I did, I traveled home. I'm from Rustenburg in the village called Muruleng. So I traveled home to see my mom because we haven't seen her in a very long time, ever since lockdown. So, when you are home, you get so excited and you just want to see everybody. It's a short time. We don't know when the president will put us back into hard lockdown. So we wanted to just see everybody just in case. I went home. I traveled with my sister and the kids. When I got home, I went the following day, actually, we went to my grandfather's place because we also wanted to just see him because it has been a long time. So we, briefly with my grandfather, we greeted each other, we hugged, we were sitting there, we were chatting. And to cut the long story the long story short, the weekend ended, then we came back to Pretoria. It was on a Sunday. Sunday went by. Monday morning, it was very cold. It was very, very cold. I remember it was that week where the kids were, I can't remember which grades were going back to school, but I remember both my kids because the younger one is in private school. We're also going back. I think it was when they were introducing grade 11s and grade 12s. My son was doing grade 11 last year, so he was going back to school. But my little one, because he is in a private school, they were going back to school as well. So Monday morning we wake up, everything is fine. They go to school. During the day, I was working, doing my online work. I took them from traveling with public transport because of COVID. So my neighbor and I had an arrangement that she will take them in the morning and I will pick them in the afternoon. So during the day, I will go and pick them. The day went fine. The following, we slept. Then the following morning, which was a Tuesday, the alarm rang. I woke the kids up. They got ready. And just when I got out of bed, just to make sure that they are ready. Kids, you have to make sure, even if they are older, but you just have to make sure that the lunch boxes are packed, they are nicely dressed, warm. I stepped out of the bed, and the first thing that hit me, I had this cold, I felt like I was dipped into a very, very, very chilled water, I froze. I was freezing, I was shivering, and I quickly ran to the bathroom and I came back. My sons were even asking, what is happening with this woman? I had my gown on. I sat in front of the heater and I was shivering. I didn't know what was going on at the time. The kids left for school, went back to bed. I took flu medication. I took Med Lemon as well, just to warm myself up, and then I went to bed and then I slept. I think I woke up around past 9 and I was feeling a little bit better. And then I told myself, I'm better. Okay, then the day went by. I went to fetch the kids and then everything was okay. But this thing was just not going out. I was fatigued. I was so tired and my head was so heavy. I had this headache that I've never had in my life. And at the time, I'm not even thinking COVID-19 because when something is new, you don't even think about it. I'm not feeling fluish, but I'm tired. I'm miserable, but I don't know what is going on with me. On a Wednesday went by, I was fine. Then on Thursday, I woke up and I felt like, no, actually I need to go to the doctor. I went to the GP. The GP did everything that she needed to do. And she told me that I don't have to worry about anything because it's something that I might have picked up. Maybe she's not saying anything about COVID. And then she says to me, there's no need for me to actually do a COVID test because I don't present COVID symptoms. And I was like, oh, okay, doctor, no, it's fine. She's the doctor. She knows better. And she prescribed medicine for me. Amongst those medicines, she also prescribed those antibiotic, the azithro, those 3 pills. But because I didn't know anything, I just came home, continued taking my meds as the days went by. And then I started to have a nasal block, a hectic nasal block. It was Thursday, Friday, and then on a Saturday morning, I just decided to take, I don't know what was going on with me that Saturday morning, but I was so down and I started calling people that are close to me. I think I spoke to Mefokasi as well on that Saturday morning. I spoke to a couple of people, and one of the people that I called was my childhood friend who, she's a doctor by profession, she's a GP. And the first time when I just say, hi, Dorika, her name is Dorika. Hi, Dorika, how are you? And then she was like, hi, Isahoe, what's wrong? Are you sick? I'm like, no, I'm not sick. Yeah, I'm sick, but it's not hectic. Why? And she's like, no, I can hear that you are sick and you have a nasal block, and that nasal block, it doesn't sound right to me. And I was like, no, man, I'm okay. I went to the doctor on a Thursday and she prescribed and she told me that I don't present any COVID symptoms. Therefore, she didn't prescribe for me to go test. So I'm okay. I'll be okay. She's like, no. You are not okay. I can hear you. You are not okay, Isahoe. I'm going to write you a script now. You are drop everything that you are doing, even if you haven't passed. Just dress up. I'm sending you a script via WhatsApp. Go to Landsat and test. She did that, wrote me a script, and then in the meantime, she also wrote a little prescription. I went to Landsat. It was Saturday, just after midday. I went to, what's that place? I think Capital Park, Eugene Marias, where Landsat is. I went there, did my COVID test. I came, and then she told me that when I come back home, I should start isolating myself. I didn't understand, why should I isolate myself? I'm okay, but why? Shouldn't I wait for the results first? And at the time, I felt like, this one. But anyway, she's a doctor and she's probably going to cash in. You know how we think. I came back, and then I just went straight to the other bedroom, actually not the main bedroom. I remember my husband was watching TV and he comes to me to ask what's wrong, and then I explained everything to him. He came from work. Okay, I explained everything to him. And that night I had to sleep alone on another bedroom, as the doctor said. The following morning, very early, no, actually we went, it was on a Sunday. The result didn't come back. And then round about this, just around +7 in the evening, the SMS comes, and the first line, the only thing that I saw in that SMS before I even read it, I just saw positive, because when the results comes, that the message positive, it's written in capital letters. So the only thing that I saw was positive, and I just cried. And I think a few seconds later, she called me, because I think they will send you an SMS. The SMS will also go to the diagnosing doctor. So she also received the SMS, and then she called me, and then she took me through, she explained everything, what to do, what not to do, and all that. And that was the beginning of my COVID story. And it went through the week, only to discover that my grandfather was also tested. Okay, actually on the day that I had chills, it was on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, my grandfather experienced the same thing that I experienced. He was rushed to the hospital. His COVID test came positive as well. My mom was in contact with all of us. My mom also tested COVID positive. My sister was sick, but she never tested, but she believed that she was COVID positive as well, even though she never tested. And unfortunately, my grandfather didn't make it. When they buried him, myself and my mom, we were in quarantine at the time. We couldn't even attend the funeral. My sister had to run around and do everything. And yeah, but we took it one step at the time, and there was a lot that was happening at the time. Anxiety was at like it hit me so hard, because at the time I was thinking, now I can't sleep in the same bed with my husband. My husband had to sleep in the other bedroom. I'm sleeping in the other bedroom. My elder son is in another bedroom. My little one had to sleep in the lounge. All of us has to be on separate bedrooms. Whatever that I do, anything that I touch in the house, I have to make sure that I sanitize, I wipe. Like, it was just so chaotic. And I think a week later, then my husband started getting sick. He started coughing, and but then unfortunately he refused to do a COVID test, because beginning of COVID in March, he actually did a COVID test. I think it was a procedure at work, and then it came negative. So the second time around, even though the doctor prescribed, but he refused to do a COVID. But my husband was at the lowest. It hit him so hard. We know that it was COVID because we were obvious, like okay, let me not say obvious, but yes, we suspect it was COVID. But it hit him so hard. He was at the lowest. He got sick more than I was, and we did all the concoctions that we were advised to do. We drank everything together, and the kids, and fortunately, I think a few days when I tested COVID positive, and then the school closed, so the kids were home as well. So it was easy for me to monitor them and make sure that they are safe, if I may put it that way. So COVID hit my family very hard. Later in the months, there's a lot of them who also tested COVID positive, and thus far, we lost like 5 family members due to COVID-19. 2 of them from the same household, a husband and a wife. 2 of them same household again. My little brother-in-law and my elder sister-in-law, we buried, I think 4 weeks ago. My brother-in-law, we buried in September last year, and my grandfather. So I lost like 5 people that were very close to me, very close to my heart, due to COVID-19. And COVID is not, it's something that's not nice. It's something that you don't want to have COVID. But if you have it, take it easy. I always say to people, take it easy, because anxiety as well is one of the things that can just elevate everything in you. Like with me, when my husband started getting sick, now I had to be a caregiver. I had to come out of me being sick, and I was very weak at the time, so I had to take care of him. And you know how some men are, I don't want to generalize, but when they are sick, they become extremely sick for some odd reason. So I had to make sure that he eats, take his meds, go to the sun, get the vitamin D, all those things, take a bath, do this, do that. So it was, and then on top of that, my work was piling up, because there's nobody who could do it for me at work, because it was a new space for everyone, new learning area for everyone. So I couldn't give anyone to help me actually at work. So what kept me going? When we read, I used to read Isaiah. Let me get that. I used to read, and I remember I used to circulate it a lot to a lot of people, because it really kept me going. Isaiah 40. I don't want to quote an incorrect scripture. I had it in front of me. I read a lot from Isaiah 41, verse 10. I used to read that verse. I used to read it to say that, you know, God, I know that you won't leave me and I know that you won't forsake me. Like I used to read it, and there was a point in my life where I was just, it was my daily prayer. And one of the verses that kept me going is the one that Brother Mpo actually shared with us today, Philippians 4, verse 6 to 7. Those were the verses that I used to live by. You know, I used to those ditemana tseo kore ke rapela Modimo day and night for strength, and not only me but for everyone, you know, because everybody was worried. Everybody surrounding us was worried. Our family members, our neighbors at work, everybody was like, because a lot of people at the time, it was only few people actually that had COVID at the time. So people were just asking themselves, what is going to happen with this woman? What is going to happen? But fortunately with God, Modimo o re mo rapelang, Modimo o, you know, o a leng teng mo maphelong a rona ka metlha le matsatsi, a ne a le teng, and I make sure gore we beat this COVID-19. No, thank you so much. I know I said I didn't want to be too long, but yeah, that is my COVID story. And okay, one of the things that I actually wanted to highlight about anxiety, particularly what COVID did to me, added actually to my anxiety. Now I have anxiety with public spaces. Like every time when I go to a public space, even at work, immediately when I step into the office, like I get the chills, I get sick, I get this headache. But as soon as I step out of that public space and maybe get home, then I'm okay. I go shopping. As soon as I step out of the car and get into a shopping mall or shopping center, I become so disorientated. I get sick, I get chills. So it brought that to me as well. And working online as well, you will be busy working. Emails are coming in, announcement of a death. Like that thing gave me this anxiety, because every single day there's this announcements, 5 people today, 2 people tomorrow. So it like there was a point in my life where I just didn't want to log in and work, because I know when I open my emails, we will get an announcement from work to say that somebody is normal. So yeah, that is what I wanted to actually point out. But I am trying by all means to beat that as well. Yeah. No, thank you so much, Brother Focus. I give batle go nna motelele go fitlha fa. Ke lebogile.
No, thank you very much, Rebecca. We normally close up at 8 o'clock, but I think just for the 4 minutes or 5 minutes, can I just open up if there's any questions for Brother Mpo, or if there's someone who really feels that the need of sharing their story or his story. And then after that, I will then ask Mema Khongwane to just thank Mpo. But can I just open if there's any questions, and if there's someone who feels the need or necessity of sharing a story or his story, we can still give you some time. All right, if no one is gonna share or have any questions for Brother Mpo, I think I can ask. Okay, Catherine. All right, my mistake. Mema Khongwane, can you kindly thank Brother Mpo on our behalf, please?
Okay. Thank you, Ntate Focus, and good evening, family. Brother Mpo, let me take this opportunity to thank you for taking time to share the valuable information regarding anxiety and COVID with us. We really have learned a lot, and I would also like to urge the family to share that we don't keep this information that we have learned for ourselves and our families, but we share it. We become the light and salt of the earth and share this valuable information with people around us to give them hope. Thank you very much for dedicating time, and we thank God for agents like you within us as Melodious One. We feel very blessed, and also to thank. May God bless you richly and continue to protect you in the field, in your field of work and in your life in general. And also to Metong, thank you, Metong, for sharing your story. And we thank God for his saving grace upon your life, your family's lives, and the lives of all members of Melodious One. Most of some of us identify with your story, your narrative, having been through the pandemic, and we thank God. It's not because we are different, because we are special, but it's through his saving grace that we are here today. And we thank him for that. Thank you, Ngate Focus.
Thank you. Brothers and sisters, we really appreciate you joining the session tonight. So I think before we close, I'm just going to ask set up just to lead us in prayer. And then after that, do the benediction. Thank you.
Let us pray, beloved. Morena Modimo, ka lebaka la mopholoso wa rona Jesu Kriste. Re a leboha Modimo, re fihlile pheletsong ya mosebetsi. Re leboha bahlanka ba hao bao re abetseng bona Modimo, hore ba re fe information, ba re thuse, ba re tataise. Re a ba rapella le malapa a bona hore ba ekeletse bohlale, o ba etse le ka ho loka Modimo, le bona malapa a o tshwana le bo Metong who have recovered from COVID-19 Modimo. It is not by might, but it is by your power. Re a o rorisa Morena, re leboha le lentswe la hao le ntseng le hlahella dipolelong tsa bona, hobane o itse lentswe la hao le tle le dule malemeng a rona Modimo. Re tle re dule re le tlamile le melaleng ya rona ka mehla le matsatsi. Re a leboha Jehova, ha re tlo arohana for this platform. Re rapella the coordinators Modimo, hore o ba hlonolofatse le malapa a bona, le bona o ba ikeletseng tate ya mosalemo hao, and each and every participant, their silent prayers may they be answered by you and you alone, Lord, for you are the God who sees the desires of our hearts. O Modimo ya arabang, o Modimo ya utlwang, o Modimo ya bonang. Re a o boka Morena, re ntse re thabela wena. Re a leboha Modimo, ha re fihlile tshebeletsong, re a ananela hobane ke thato ya hao. Re rapela ka Kriste Morena le mopholosi wa rona. Amen.
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 No, are mole mohau. Mohau wa Morena rona Jesu Kriste. Lerato la ntata rona. Le kopano ya moya o hallelang. Di be le rona bohle bosiung bona. Fihlela Jesu Kriste a ba kgutla. Amen.
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 Good night, everyone. Good night.
Amen.
Have a blessed
Bye. Bye.
Amen.
Be blessed.
Night, everyone.